What if Special Division 4 went to Shibuya instead of the students from Jujutsu High? Would they do better? Could the disaster curses survive Makima? And how well would Denji do against Mahito? In this video we'll go over a hypothetical version of the Shibuya incident. The date is October 31st and the plan to seal away Satoru Gojo is replaced with the plan to seal away Makima, the Control Devil. For this video we will firstly establish how the layout of the video will work. First of all, we will be replacing the main fights of Shibuya with the appropriate Chainsawman characters. Otherwise we would need to talk about the character's motivation and all that stuff. And the reason that wouldn't work is like Makima would never fight along Special Division 4 and use her abilities. Moreover, Denji and Power are just way too chaotic and this arc would be filled with endless possibilities. While I am structuring this video as a what if, I'd like to approach this video more of a fights swap, similar to how Thunder God and other up and coming YouTube creators approach their Naruto videos. Secondly, these characters can interact with each other. I mean, this means that domain expansions can work and you know, the special division and the cursed energy from the Chainsawman characters can interact. The reason this needs to be addressed is strictly due to how domain expansions work, and the video would vastly change on how you approach the power systems. For example, if domain expansions are simply ineffective to characters such as Makima and Toji, both who are confirmed to have zero cursed energy, and if you know anything about Chainsawman, they sort of have zero cursed energy, so could the video even happen? Yeah, sounds a little bit boring to me if that's not the case. Thirdly, I do apologise, there won't be a massive amount of scaling for each and every fight. For example, do you really need me to get into Denji's Mark 10 to 50 feats in detail and explain how he beats these random goons? If you're really unhappy, I have many videos up on my channel. Just know that JJK and Chainsawman are all over the place, especially with speed. And lastly, we will discuss split timelines when it is appropriate, as the video including Chainsawman characters' abilities and personalities are so obscure. So we will branch into different timelines when it is appropriate. Before we get into the first fight, please subscribe to the channel. I've really enjoyed making these types of videos, so please feel free to give me any suggestions. I'm always up for it. I really like when you guys engage with my content and like to engage in the Chainsawman Jujutsu Kaisen level stuff. So if you want to like the video, comment, all that crazy stuff, I mean, it just goes a long way. So thank you guys once again, and let's get into it. Also, stay tuned for a fun fact regarding Makima, and if you want to stay all the way till the end of the video, I'll tell you why Gojo's Unlimited Void wouldn't matter to Makima. What if I told you Makima can use an Unlimited Void style ability, and Death Battle just didn't mention it? Sounds crazy, but please stay all the way until the end of the video. To get started, let's establish how this story could take place. Makima's intel informs her of new devils that don't fit the normal rules of a traditional devil in the world of Chainsaw Man. 4 unique and powerful quote-unquote curses are running amok, born from the fear of natural disasters, one of which being particularly interesting. Meanwhile, on Dargon's Island, Kenjaku hears of an insane rumor of a powerful curse user with immortality that rivals himself and Ryomen Sukuna. Kenjaku sends out many curse spirits under his control to seek more information to never return, save one that came back and was crushed in front of his very eyes. This sowed the seeds for a plan to seal away Makima. As a result, 4 veils are placed under Shibuya, and as a result, Special Division 4 arrives in Shibuya. Since we have no Jujutsu sorcerers, Maki, Denji, Power, Kishibe, Kwanzi, I know it's not really a member, but it's just fun for the video if we talk about Kwanzi, Violence, Kobani, Beam, all enter the fray. To their surprise, the powerful devil hunters and fiends cannot bypass the barrier and resort to Makima using her teleportation ability to enter Shibuya. Makima finds herself at the train station and the first fight begins, that being Makima versus Hanami, Gojo, and Choso. Well, actually this isn't the first fight. Denji fights a grasshopper, so I think we should probably get into that quickly. At the beginning of Shibuya, Yuji is a more than likely grade 1, and this is further backed up by Mei and shows itself due to his speed and attack potency against Hanami. Therefore, this grasshopper is around a grade 1 or 2 curse, depending on your interpretation. I know the grasshopper gets memed on a lot, but it does a lot better against Yuji than it has any right to. And this is an extremely driven Yuji that is wanting to save Satoru Gojo from being sealed away. So, you know, we have issues like regarding Chainsaw Man and JJK scaling, but overall I will get into it quickly. Chainsaw Man in general should just be much faster than early Shibuya arc characters. Keep in mind, Yuji found reacting to piercing blood at a distance difficult. For those of you who aren't aware, piercing blood reaches the speed of sound, that being Mach 1. And Denji in his transform state is easily over this level, with feats being calced at Mach 10 to 20. I know Maki has that Mach 10 to 12 sort of range with her catching the bullet, but just know that Chainsaw Man tends to scale a fair bit higher than those ranges anyway. If you are being very charitable to JJK, I mean, Denji just has the hacks and ability to kill the grasshopper. I mean, it's not really a fair fight. Not to say Yuji's top speed is Mach 1 and his top fighting prowess is against a grasshopper, but just note that both characters, Yuji and Denji, are fairly on par, and Denji doesn't have any issue with this. Keep in mind, Makima's life is on the line, so Denji would only be more driven. While this is happening, Kobeni and another nameless devil hunter would lift the first veil. Now let's get into the most interesting part of this video, at least for me, that being Makima versus Hanami, Choso, and Jogo. Makima is trapped by Hanami's technique as the citizens of Shibuya begin to freak out. Makima utters a simple threat to the disaster curses, and they're reminded of Gojo's unwavering character and confidence. And the battle begins. The problem with Kenjaku's plan here is that Makima has no empathy or connection to people. The humans used as distractions would backfire, as they can simply be used as tools for Makima and would just simply annoy the disaster curses further. Choso killing civilians in the background would literally never bother Makima, and moreover, Choso and Hanami and Gojo would kill Makima multiple times, and the disaster curses would merely waste their energy and their spirit would waver. Not to mention, Makima's insane hacks abilities would in turn be problematic. I hate saying this, guys, but the disaster curses literally have nothing to permanently take down Makima, and they have no win cons. Although their abilities have the attack potency to destroy Makima over and over again, they would be helpless in actually killing her. This gets even worse when you realize with just using a glance, Makima could inflict mold or rot to their very insides, or alternatively, she would just simply control them. Nobody here scales to Makima's raw power and speed, and I know that gets really annoying, but a lot of people don't realize is that Makima fighting individuals that are described as transcendent levels above multi-city level devils, which have speeds at Mach 400 to 500 pretty consistently. Her bang ability wields enough force to blast individuals into space, and would put holes in both cursed spirits. Jogo's reverse curse technique would keep him in the game, and both characters wield a domain expansion. However, keep in mind the sure hit effect would be pointless, and after using their domains, the curses would find themselves weakened against Makima's full power. Makima wins this battle mid-diff, whether it's a bang, her controlling powers, or a battlefield removal into hell. Makima would make it to the next few battles in Shibuya. However, if Mahito shows up and you argue it a certain way, this could go a little bit differently. There is a very good case to be made that the plan to seal away Makima could still work if Mahito using his domain expansion or ideal transfiguration, and Mahito is really important in this video, keep in mind. I would personally argue the ability in question is debatable regarding Makima's immortality, and with arguments I will mention later, okay? So just keep that in mind. Moreover, if Kenjaku shows up with the prison realm, Makima more than likely could escape or wouldn't even get sealed in the first place. The reason Gojo was sealed is because of his 6 eyes seeing Geto for the first time in years, flooded his memory with memories of his best friend, which resulted in the time dilation between the prison realm and Gojo being shortened to what it originally was. The reason I say Makima might not even lose in this situation is due to a few reasons, so let me explain them. And you might say that they're rat arguments, but they are legitimate arguments brought up by my comment section and thought of by myself. The characters in Chainsawman can still use their abilities inside the Eternity Devil, which is its own prison realm. One of the Devil's main powers is to stop time from passing. Makima should easily scale above this devil and still activate some of her abilities. Moreover, she may just be able to teleport out or alternatively stay in contact with the outside world. Regarding Mahito's ability in particular, I don't see a lot of people bring this up, but Kenjaku actually criticizes Mahito's abilities, saying that the body and soul are in fact separate. This is echoed by Toji, whose body is just built different, which is why curse techniques and manipulation just doesn't work on him. Makima's body also is just differently built with her immortality. To further support this, Sukuna also has his own form of immortality, and Mahito couldn't just simply transfigure him. Mahito versus Makima isn't as obvious as some people would lead you to believe. There is a character in Chainsawman that literally transfigures you into a doll. There is also a zombie devil that does a similar thing, but Santa Claus really is the main one. Now, the dolls are never able to shapeshift Denji or any other hybrids or devils. They are only able to affect normal people. So I mean, Mahito sorta seems less likely the further you research it. Like I said, some people would view these as rat arguments, but this is just where we can branch off into two pathways anyway, as I know Mahito versus Makima will make a lot of the JJK fans mad. For the rest of the video, we will approach it this way. Pathway 1 is Makima just simply kills all the disaster curses, including Mahito, or she just simply controls them, just strengthening her army, and the Shibuya incident is just straight up over. Pathway 2. Whether through the use of the prison realm, the domain expansion, ideal transfiguration, Makima is sealed on October 31st, and it will be celebrated as the end of the Control Devil. If you've been around my channel for the last few months and seen my latest videos, I'm sure you're aware I believe Pathway 1 is much more likely. Makima just has way more hacks and actually good speed scaling coming from the Gun Devil, and just alongside a reaction feat calced at Mark 1000, which we don't really need to get into. It's being very charitable for Makima, but it is easier to argue that the disaster curses unfortunately just get folded here. But for the sake of the video, we'll primarily be talking about Pathway 2, and we could say that at some point, maybe Makima doesn't have the Future Devil, got caught off guard by a tricky ability. With that, the next fight is on, and Makima is sealed. So we can move on to the next fight, that being Granny, the grandson, and Joro versus Denji, Aki, and Hirokazu. Overall, Hirokazu doesn't really have any feats and gets rocked by a bullet off guard, so I'm sorry if this dude is your favorite character. He's kind of just dying by Granny, especially if Toji gets summoned. I'm sorry, I don't even need to get into Toji versus this dude. What isn't a stomp, however, is Denji and Aki versus Joro. This fight is going to be a little awkward, especially if Aki was swapped with another character, say like Power or someone not very bright. I can honestly see this being a huge problem for the Devil duo, as they literally aren't smart enough to figure out Joro's ability. To put it simply, his ability or power is more or less an inverse technique. The harder an opponent hits him, the less effective it is. A simple punch from you or I would literally be more effective than a black flash from a special grade Yuji. Although I'm not too impressed with the speed of Joro, his ability may honestly never get figured out, and defeating him could take a while. I can see Aki's cursed spirits putting in a bit of work here. For example, the Future Devil uses precognition and reads the future. You know, maybe this could give Aki the insight into the ability, or the Cursed Devil has a huge amount of advantages, giving him further speed boosts. When Aki hits his opponents, the Cursed Devil is summoned, instantly killing them after 4 successful attacks. However, this seems a little bit questionable, as it seems that the Cursed Devil hits really hard, so, you know, maybe it's just inverse, like who knows. The best bet for this duo is for Denji to start off as himself and eventually transform into Chainsawman, which is in character. While this happens, maybe Aki takes note that Denji's original attacks landed with much more potency. It's definitely not out of the realm of possibilities for Juro to win this fight, especially if Aki and Denji would just be stumped by the ability outright. However, overall, I'd say that Aki's analysis in battle seems pretty switched on and is on the level of Megami, so I say we can move on to the next fight. That being Power and Himeno versus Hataru. Overall, this fight just goes a lot better in favour of our Special Division 4 here, and since he's pretty much a massive pussy, he would pretty much get overwhelmed, not to mention Nanami will be replaced by Kishibe, and if you argue that Kishibe is slightly lower than Quan Zi's non-transform state, this means that Kishibe has a similar speed of Mach 100 to 200, and Haruto has no speed scaling to the higher ups, especially in the Special Division. Moreover, the Special Division just has way more hacks than this guy. I know this was a bit of a short battle, but this one just sort of seems obvious. I know Haruto's curse technique may keep him in the game, and for those of you that don't know, he possesses a technique called Miracles. This miracle technique is represented as the purple marks on his face that disappear when he comes across a said miracle. For example, him seeing something in the street that might be considered a miracle, he gets a line on his face, and when he himself experiences the miracle, he survives. So, example, when Nanami punches him in the face, his face tattoos actually eventually are removed, and in total this means Special Division 4 would have to kill Haruto, 6 or 7 times basically. So if you think that gives him enough of a chance to escape, I mean, that's fine, but overall he loses pretty badly. I will say, for you Chainsaw Man down players, I am aware Himeno is greatly wounded by a gunshot, but these characters were just off having brunch and got caught off guard by some random crazy person just shooting them in the back of the head. Keep in mind, the whole plan of this whole tactic was to catch the Devil Hunters off guard. Like, just think about it, the second they actually have a fight with guns, Kobani can dodge bullets, and this is Kobani, mind you. Now we have Kwanzi versus the Smallpox Curse inside its domain. This is just awful for Kwanzi, as now we have to get into how domain expansions affect our Chainsaw Man characters. Overall, Kwanzi, again, as previously stated, should just be much faster than this deity. However, this wouldn't matter, as we see Mei Mei was shown being just greatly stronger and faster than this curse and needed distractions, teleportation, luck, wee, all in order to just get out of this domain expansion. Kwanzi's ability is just strictly her physical prowess, and her transform state might hold her some advantages, especially if you think that she can escape the coffins. Now we need to get into domain expansions. I mean, you could argue that the rules apply to Kwanzi as they do with Toji and Maki. If you want a visual image on how this fight could go, imagine Toji's fight with Dagon, as the sure hit effect in the Smallpox's domain may just not matter, but I can definitely see her winning if she is able to break out of the coffins. And I'm sure that if the sure hit effect does work, then she will be simply trapped and buried underground. But what do you guys think? I mean, both possibilities are likely. It really does depend if you think the sure hit effect works on Chainsaw Man characters. Next up, this is really interesting, I think. This is Denji versus Choso. Like I said prior, the way that this might go badly for Choso is if you think Piercing Blood is Mach 1 and Denji is way faster than that. Also, if you think that that's Choso's main ability, so his main speed feat is Mach 1, keep in mind Gege does actually think Mach 3 is a meme, but it is just so blatantly shown and stated that Piercing Blood reaches the speed of sound. I mean, like, how much more advantages can I give Jujutsu Kaisen in this instance? Like, Jujutsu Kaisen really only starts to go crazy in the latest chapters and in the Culling game. So, I mean, like, what do you want me to do here? The reason I think lowballing JJK is bad, however, is just look at how he performs against Kenjaku. And, like I said, I know Maki catches a bullet calced at Mach 12, but I mean, like, what do you want me to do? Is it just not Mach 1? Is it Mach 1? Like, it's just, like, really awkward for me to talk about this fight. It gets even worse when we bring up What is Choso's main ability? It's blood manipulation, the very thing Denji uses to stay immortal. The whole reason Denji won against the Eternity Devil is because of his unlimited access to blood. Imagine for a second Denji gets his arm cut off by piercing blood, and then Denji just eats the blood off the floor. I mean, like, jokes aside, Choso versus Denji is definitely a tough fight to call for me as a scaler, due to some properties of blood manipulation. Can the blood just be poisonous to Denji's body? Can the blood just explode Denji's whole body off? Would that even matter because it's blood? You know what I mean? Like, if he blows up his torso, doesn't the blood technically still enter his system? So we have no reason to suggest Denji's body can resist poisons like Choso's, and while it's pretty clear that Choso is pretty easily superior to Yuji, I'd also place Transform Chainsawman at that level. So if we look at the feats, we can say something like this. Denji has feats of fighting alongside Transformed Kwanzi calced at Mark 1 to 200. He blitzes these goons calced at Mark 10 to 50. Takes a supersonic attack from the Bat Devil that destroys entire building, and also took Aki's gun that blew up a city block. While Yuji at this point hasn't shown his true colours and scales to Maki's bullet catching feat I mentioned before, dodges Choso's piercing blood, but doesn't even dodge it, he kind of just reacts to it, and definitely tanks piercing blood attacks which do blow apart parts of his body. I have no issue giving this to Chainsawman at all, not to say that a fight would go differently if we apply feats from Choso's fight with Kenjaku, and we say that, you know, Kenjaku tanks an attack from Yuki and it's planetary. If you do something like that, like, absolutely in the comments let me know. But overall, our Chainsawman team just seems more likely to win this, unfortunately, for Choso. He's pretty cool, like, he's one of my favourite characters, but, I mean, like, Denji just gets downplayed. Now onto my second favourite part of the video. This is Kishibe, Violence, and Kobani versus Dagon. Now this fight is just awful and does a complete 180 for Special Division 4, and now I have to just get into Dagon scaling. You could say Dagon gets wrecked outside of his domain by Nanami and Naobito, and is below characters like Toji and Hikari, which should have lightning timing feats. This would mean that our Devil Hunters could still keep up, as these characters clock in way below lightning level. Keep in mind, Special Division 4 should have some serious stats if they are preparing for a fight with the Gun Devil. Like I said, Kishibe with those Mark 1 to 200 feats. Unfortunately, Kobani isn't going to be really much help, especially if she is scared of Dagon's like appearance or something like that. That seems very in character. She does have Sonic to Hypersonic level feats using the anime, but like I said, this is just really going to be Kishibe and Violence's game here, which I will get into. However, the second Dagon opens his domain, it's more than likely over. Since there is no Megami to disrupt Dagon's domain, which not only eliminated its sure hit effect, but also would allow Toji to enter the domain quickly, I would say it goes pretty badly. I say quickly for Toji because his physical stats at this point is just leagues above Yuji, who can crack Mahito's domain. So if you think Toji and Yuji can do a similar thing with these Disaster Curses domain, that's understandable. However, it's pretty clear that Dagon's domain seems to just be a little bit stronger than Mahito's first domain. This is also where we have to get into another timeline split. The first being whether or not Toji can crack the domain, or simply Makima would just come in and help him out. And the other timeline split being Toji cannot crack the domain, and because Megami isn't there, this would just be awful for Special Division 4. In the instance Toji never breaks the domain, it is highly likely that even with Violence mask removed, Kishibe and Kobani and himself would just all simply die to the sure hit effect. We have no reason to suggest that they can take that many attacks from a sure hit in a domain. This gets especially bad if you think that masked Violence is weaker than Denji using his joke fight with the Bomb Devil. However, you could imply that he's stronger than Kishibe and Kwanzi, as he takes multiple attacks from the Darkness Devil, and Kwanzi literally just gets one shot and off screen. However, you could equally argue Violence with his mask off is several blitz tiers above Dagon outside of his domain, but overall, we have no evidence to suggest these characters could survive the multiple sure hit effects. If you think Dagon can't even damage these characters, we see that in the anime, his tentacles can just simply pull you underwater and drown you, which none of these characters should be able to survive. Another thing is that if you think Dagon is island level and can create a star or any of that crazy stuff, I mean, he clearly just wins, but If you've been on my channel, you know that I don't really agree with Dargon being, you know, island level. It's just so inconsistent. Like, he does create an island, but I mean, is it more likely that he just teleported them there? I mean, like, Dargon being island level would also mean that now Beto is island level. You know what I mean? Like, this sort of stuff just seems weird. And at this point in the Shibuya arc, we're sort of being surprised by Sukuna's malevolent shrine as it, you know, puts a massive hole in Shibuya, and these characters can't believe Gojo is fighting the disaster curses. Remember, this video goes in a completely different way if you argue devil hunters don't use cursed energy or don't have any cursed energy, as domain's effectiveness are reduced. Similar to how Makima teleported to Hell, I can actually see her travelling to Dargon's domain if we are looking back at the first timeline. In this event, Makima is just another walking wincon for our characters. This really isn't in character for Makima to do, and she'd probably more likely seek out Denji, not these characters. But overall, without Toji or Makima showing up, Dargon wins this pretty easily inside of his domain, and would more than likely win also out of his domain with those island level arguments, and Dargon would lose if Makima or Toji show up. Even without Playful Cloud, I mean, Toji has the physicality to put holes in Dargon's head and toys with him pretty easily. It's funny to think that even without Megami, it might have done no difference to the Toji situation. Next up is Toji versus Aki. Now, this is just a horrible stomp. I mean, there's definitely something to say with Aki, and there's definitely some stuff he could do. If you wanted a more detailed opinion on Toji, then see this video. But he's basically lightning speeds, and Aki only has hypersonic feats off beam. And if we equate him to similar to Quan Zi and the Bomb Devil and all those people, then that's fine. But Aki does fit nicely in those sonic to hypersonic ranges with some wank, while Toji is massively hypersonic, if not lightning level. Unless he's like Mach. If Aki uses the Curse Devil in cooperation with the Future Devil, he may actually be able to do some high IQ strat. Keep in mind, Aki is the only normal person to block an incoming strike from Quan Zi. It seems more likely that Toji is just much faster, much stronger, much more powerful than Quan Zi, and using those lightning level arguments in my old videos, I mean, Toji just stomps. You could argue maybe the Future Devil does something, but you know, I doubt it. Unfortunately for this video, Yuji and Megami aren't present, so no Sukuna and Maharaga. But if you do want my opinion on situations like that, then I do have videos on my channel. Next fight is seriously injured Aki versus Haruto. I mean, this one's funny if you really hate Haruto. Maybe you could say that like 5% Aki with a Ghost Devil might be able to kill him. But Aki probably dies here if he doesn't have the strength to use the Curse, Future, or Fox Devil. Really, really sad for the boy Aki here. Power and Denji versus Mahito. Now, this could be its own video, and like I said before, it really goes into how you believe Mahito's abilities interact with Denji and Power. You could argue Denji actually has Transfiguration immunity, which is very valid. Denji and Power cannot be transfigured into zombies nor dolls in the series. Denji and Power have no real way to permanently kill Mahito, so this fight is really awkward and weird. You gotta remember though that Mahito isn't just immortal and can actually be killed for good. It's even shown in the series that when Mahito's cursed energy is low enough, he actually can die, and that's when his immortality and body transfiguration actually diminish. In terms of scaling, I'd put Mahito well and truly above Choso, especially after he transforms. And after he lands a Black Flash. Mahito should have killed Yuji multiple times over if it wasn't for Nobara's resonance ability and Toji's abilities respectively. Unfortunately for the girl Power, she doesn't really have any real scaling and real speed arguments other than just being below Denji's transform state. So I will say that the Chainsawman characters have a pretty big speed advantage like I keep mentioning. Remember, I hate saying this, but Piercing Blood is Mark 1, and Yuji struggled to react to it from a distance, and Yuji easily fights Mahito. And Denji in his transform state, in my opinion, just has better scaling and a better healing factor. Keep in mind the Eternity Devil's weird body was able to give Denji the strength to fight for 3 straight days, and all of Mahito's transfigured tools and humans do in fact bleed. The fight gets even worse for the Disaster Curse if Power is killed and swapped for an appropriate replacement for Todo. And I think an appropriate replacement would be someone like Beam. This makes sense, both characters kind of love the MC, you know. Now, the Shark Fiend can swim through solid objects and gives him a pretty good ability and goes up walls, goes through buildings, has pretty good speed, all that sort of stuff. As a duo, Beam and Denji rode together to destroy the Typhoon Devil, who was strong enough to wipe out multiple buildings in seconds. Although, like I said, if you scale Mahito higher than Dagon and you say that, you know, Denji's only, you know, large building level easily and Mahito's an island level threat, I mean, it definitely goes in Mahito's favor, but the speed is just nowhere in favor of Mahito. Keep in mind, Beam, while heavily injured, is able to dodge an explosion at point blank range, which has been calced at Mark 100. You could argue this feat is an outlier, but I just see it as supportive evidence for transformed devil hybrids and fiends getting a big power up. If you want to argue that transfiguration is 100% definite WinCon, I'd simply argue it's never stated Chainsawman characters have souls, and it's a legit precedent for fiends being immune to transfiguration. This means that Mahito's 0.2 second domain expansion literally wouldn't matter. In conclusion, I'd say Power probably loses this fight, whether it's through a cut across the stomach or just an off-guard, you know, decapitation from Mahito. Denji would put up a great fight one-on-one, but really could go into how Denji approaches the fight. Overall, he should be much faster and should be immune to his abilities. And with Beam working with Denji, especially transformed Chainsawman, Denji should just win this mid-diff. Obviously, Makima slams any disaster curse in timeline number 1, and she is, just like I said, her own walking WinCon. With her here, she'd honestly solo the entirety of Shibuya, with only the exception being Maharaga and Sukuna, but I have videos on that, so feel free to check that out. As a final note, I would say that in conclusion, if Makima is out of the fight, Denji should beat the Grasshopper easily. He should defeat Choso and Mahito, with that being a little bit more debatable. Power literally should die to Mahito, but would never die to Haruto. Kishibe, Violence, and Kobani would be the fatalities of this entire arc, as Dagon's domain expansion would literally kill them unless Toji or Makima saves them. Quan Zi might lose pretty badly to the Smallpox curse, depending on how you argue domain expansions and cursed energy. If you want to equalize energy systems, Quan Zi would lose. If not, then she'd probably win. Haruto just gets slammed trash character. If Makima is alive, then she just simply controls all the disaster curses without much issue. Please let me know if you had any issues in the video. I mean, like, I feel like I was pretty fair to both characters. I mean, some people put, you know, JJK characters at like subsonic, so, you know, giving them above Mark 3 and all that, I think is pretty fair. As my final fun fact about Makima, did you know that in the series that there is a character called Cosmo that has the ability to flood your entire brain with all the knowledge in the universe? Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Cosmo charges her ability and fires it like a Kamehameha, and she transports her enemy to a library filled with infinite books, which will eventually flow into your mind until all you can say is Halloween. This ability was so strong that not only did it affect the person targeted by this ability, it also affected all of her controlled dolls. Also, did you know Makima went to fight this girl and Quan Zi, and they surrendered instantly? Keep in mind, Quan Zi's whole character is loyalty to her girls, and this is so strong she'd literally do anything to protect them, and it's literally the whole entire arc of Quan Zi. So wouldn't that include the Halloween ability? If they actually wanted to, you know, protect them, wouldn't she use, you know, the Halloween ability? Not only that, but did you know when Makima kills people directly or indirectly, she actually gets control of them? And this is seen with the Gun Devil hybrid Aki, and also with all the Control Devil fiends in her possession. This means that maybe Gojo would just get hit with Unlimited Void. Anyway, goodbye, thank you, bye.